Is $17.92 the best bang for your buck? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today on the bar top, as you can see, we've got a lot of 1792 Barton juice on the table that we are going to be going over. We are going to be doing the entire mainstream lineup of the 1792 offerings of their bourbon. We've got the sweet wheat, the small batch, the 12 years old, the single barrel, the bottled and bond, and then finally the full proof. We're going to be going through these, nosing and tasting, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on each offering from lowest proof all the way up to the highest proof. Now, obviously, there are a couple other offerings that 1792 has, but those are absolutely impossible to find. So these are the 6 that you might be able to see in your local liquor store. So that's the 6 we're going to be going through, and I'm going to let you know my favorites that you should be picking up. Before we get into it, make sure you guys drop that like, leave a comment down below on what your favorite offering of 1792 is, and also smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. If you guys haven't already, check out the Patreon down below. We are in the works for hopefully doing our first barrel pick, and that is only going to be dropped to the Patreons first, so make sure you guys go check that link down below. If you are also interested, we are doing a bottle raffle. Whatever bottle is in this box is going to one lucky Patreon, so as little as $2 a month gets you in for barrel picks and for the ability to get this bottle of bourbon. So like I said, we are going to do a quick nose, quick palate, and a quick little description of what each of these bottles of bourbons has to offer. And we're going to start with the lowest proof bottle, which is the 1792 Sweet Wheat. Now, the 1792 Sweet Wheat is crafted with sweet and delicate wheat instead of the more traditional rye. This bourbon is quite distinctive from most. The soft wheat delivers a subtle and smooth taste with gentle layers of flavor. Each sip expresses a harmony of sweetness and dryness. Enjoy the perfectly balanced flavor that will entice your senses. That was off the description on the back of this bottle. I was really excited to get my hands on it. You know, a lot of people say it's really good. A lot of people say it's, you know, not the best juice in the world. But we did our full review of this bottle, so we're just going to go through this really quickly, give you guys a couple of nosing notes and a couple of palate notes. So on the nose. The nose has a little bit of a light espresso with a little bit of a milk chocolate. It's not very dark or deep. There is a richness behind it, but I think what that is entailing is there's this really underlying floral note that follows through on here. So the nose is very easy to find things in here. There is nothing that is off-putting about it. Let's get into the palate. For being a very low proof at 91.2 proof, it's got a little bit of a kick to it. It's got a little bit more of a proof punch for something a little bit lower than this. It's got this really nice creaminess to it, but it does taste young. I get a lot of those really punchy notes from those grains, really corny. It's got that earthy tone that the wheat brings when it's not really matured enough, in my personal opinion. Let's get one more sip. Yeah, I'm going to imagine that when we step up in proof, we're going to get a little bit more of a full-bodied experience from these. It's very light. It's got this sweetness. It's like a cinnamon-dusted sugar cookie in a way. You know, it's good, but it's not great. It doesn't wow me. It doesn't blow my socks off like I was expecting this bottle to originally do. So for me, you know, it's not the best offering from 1792, but it's still a good one. It's still a good one. If you can find it for MSRP, which I believe is roughly around $45, $50 max. So that's the 1792 Sweet Wheat. Before we get into bottle number 2, we have to have a word from today's sponsor. As men, we tend to grow facial hair, and as men, we want to make sure that our facial hair stays nice and clean. Thanks to MANSCAPED, we have the ability to do that with the brand new Handyman. With the brand new Handyman from MANSCAPED, you can keep that clean, close, and comfortable shave. The brand new Handyman also packs a punch with its compact size. This bad boy right here is able to shave up to a 3-day hair growth, while also being waterproof. Let's go unbox this bad boy. Inside the box, you are first going to find on top the Handyman User's Guide with multiple languages of the directions. Next up, you have the Handyman itself. Once you get it out of its packaging, you will see that you have a nice magnetized plastic covering to cover both of those blades. A very nice bright white LED to let you know that your battery is charged, and underneath you are going to have your charging cable. And this is a USB-C cable. After using this bad boy a couple of times, I am completely sold on this thing. It's super compact. It does not have any pull. It doesn't grip any of your hair. It holds in your hand very nicely. You can follow your shave line very, very well. And this thing packs a punch. It is super, super well made, and I am fully for it. So because I've partnered up with Manscaped, you guys actually get something out of this. You guys are going to get 20% off site-wide plus free international shipping when you use my code EDD at checkout on anything site-wide. So make sure you guys go check out manscaped.com down below. Use my code EDD at checkout. Put the handyman in your cart, and anything else you guys may want off of the Manscaped website, use that code EDD, and thank you again for Manscaped for sponsoring today's video. Thank you so much, Manscaped, for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you guys go check out that link down below and use my code EDD at checkout. But bottle number 2 we have on the bar top is going to be the 1792 small batch. This one right here is coming in at 93.7 proof, so we're jumping up about 2 proof points. And this one here is really, really nice. I've had this bottle for quite a while now, but this is named in honor of the year Kentucky joined the United States. 1792 small batch bourbon is made from a marriage of a few selected barrels carefully chosen by our master distiller. This refined bourbon elevates Kentucky distilling to exceptional new heights, celebrated by whiskey connoisseurs worldwide. So 1792, this is their small batch. This one's coming in at about $30 to $35 max. Like I said, I've had this bottle for quite a while now. It's really, really nice in my opinion for those beginner bourbon drinkers that are looking for something that's a little bit more bold compared to something else because of that small batch bottled at a little bit higher proof. Let's get into the nose. A really nice darker cherry note. It's almost pushing grapey. Dark blackberries roll out of here too. Really dark fruits are really what's pushing out of this glass. I like this nose a lot. The nose to me is 10 times better than the sweet wheat. Let's get into the palate. And the one thing I will say about this compared to the sweet wheat is that it is very balanced. You are getting a little bit more of an enjoyable experience out of this compared to the sweet wheat. What it's bringing is a little bit more of a viscosity to it, and it is something that, in my opinion, for $10 less, you're getting a bourbon that's worth $10 more than the sweet wheat, in my opinion. This, if you put this at a complete blind to me, I would say that that bottle right there is worth $50. That bottle right there is worth $40. There is so much going on in this that's not, like knocking my socks off, but after going from something that's a little bit more elusive to this, you're going to be much more happy owning this bottle compared to that one. There's a darkness behind that small batch that works really, really well on my tongue. Just gives me this happiness, and I really, really enjoy the flavor profile of this small batch. And for me, I do think it's a little bit better than the sweet wheat, which is a little bit harder to find. But enough of the small batch. Let's get into bottle number 3. Bottle number 3 is going to be the 1792 aged 12 years. This bad boy is coming in at 96.6 proof, so we're jumping up in proof again, and obviously this one is aged for 12 years. 12 years is a long time to wait, but patience has its rewards. This impeccable bourbon whiskey is the satisfying result of maturing for more than a decade in the finest charred American white oak barrels. Rich flavors of vanilla and cocoa abound in this full-bodied bourbon after spending 12 years in oak. The delicate fruit notes in this whiskey are met with a lingering smoky finish that is more complex than most. So here we go. 1792, aged 12 years. Thank you, John, for sending me this bottle to do a review of. I've never really heard a bad thing about this bottle, just that, the secondary is pushing like $140 of it. So let's get in the nose. Oh yeah, wow, okay. That bumps this oaky note and the sweetness of the oak to just like the highest of heavens. You're getting a really nice nose of really deep, dark, rich oak. It's got a lot of deeper, darker notes in there. It's fudgy, it's oaky, it's espresso-y. It's got a lot of coffee hitting out of here. Wow, that's really nice on the nose. This is very, very pleasant. Let's get on the palate. That is such an enjoyable just experience with that oakiness that this has to offer. It's plummy. It's almost like a grape preserve. It's got so much darker and deeper, richer fruit notes that just roll out of that glass and linger and just tickle all parts of your tongue. That is so, so good. But enough of the aged 12 years. Let's get into the 1792 single barrel. In order to create this unique bourbon, the finest barrels are selected and tasted from the best aging warehouses. Only those barrels deemed exceptional are then bottled individually one by one. This preserves the distinct character of each barrel. That, my friends, was just a 1792 single barrel bottle kill. You guys know my thoughts on this bottle right here. One of my absolute favorites, coming in at 98.6 proof. We're still under 100 proof, but this is, in my personal opinion, possibly a better bottle of bourbon than Blanton's at a much more reasonable price. So let's get in the nose and let's see what this bad boy is all about. Lots of warm fruit notes like oranges and lemon, and there's a really nice floral note. There's some lavender rolling out of here. Snickerdoodle cookie, like this is a cinnamony, just sweet cookie that rolls out of this glass with a little bit of like an orange marmalade and a little touch of that floral note. There's a lot to unpack from this bottle, and it is just so, so nice. It's got a little bit of a peanut note too that comes out of this. You know, all single barrels are going to be a little bit different, but these are all coming out of some of the same warehouses and areas, so they know what the flavor profiles of that warehouse and that specific area of that warehouse brings, and that's where these are coming from. Man, that nose is so, so nice. It's got a little bit of like a maraschino cherry that comes out of here as well. There's a lot coming out of this glass. Let's get into the palate. This is sweet. It's very rounded. It's very balanced. It brings a lot to it. It's not as rich and complex as the 12-year, but you're getting a little bit more of a lighter sweetness to it. That orange comes through a little bit more. You're gonna get, I almost get like a maple syrup quality out of this as well. It's very, very, very enjoyable. There's no burn to this. This is something that is very, very exquisite, and this is something that anybody in the bourbon world can enjoy and appreciate for what this has to offer at the proof point, the price point, and you know, as a single barrel, even though it's not a barrel proof, it's still something that I absolutely love. And you know, this finish is still going and going and going. Every time you breathe, every time your tongue hits the top of your mouth, you get a little bit more out of this bottle. And for me, you know, I don't know if it's as good as the 12-year. This was really, really good, but this is a little bit more available. And for me, I think that the availability factor for this comes into effect. And I think that this is possibly the best sip that we have had so far out of the 1792 lineup. And enough of the 1792 single barrel. Let's move on to the 1792 bottled and bond. In 1897, the Bottled and Bond Act revolutionized the quality of American whiskey. Bourbon labeled Bottled and Bond guaranteed drinkers high-quality whiskey made by a legitimate distiller. Carrying on that tradition, this well-aged bourbon from barrels all filled during the same season was bottled at exactly 100 proof for a bold taste and lingering finish. This is the 1792 Bottled and Bond, coming in at 100 proof. This is at least 4 years old, and I've had my thoughts about this bottle specifically. You know, I did have a sample of a 1792 Bottled and Bond single barrel store pick that was absolutely delicious, and I wish I was able to give you the notes of that sample over top of this one because I am not the biggest fan of my bottled in bond bottle. I don't think it has a lot going on for it. I think it's very bitter. I'm not quite sure if it was a tainted bottle out of the batch, but I don't think this bottle right here gives a fair comparison to the rest of the lineup, in my personal opinion. I think that, like I just said, there are some really good bottles of this out there. Mine just isn't it. So because mine's not the best, I don't know how many bad bottles there are out there from the bottled in bond offering of 1792. So I'm not going to go any further from this bottle. I'm not going to say that this is the worst of the offerings, but for me, out of the 6 I have, it's not my favorite. So there is the 1792 bottled in bond. We've got one more bottle to get into, and that, my friends, is the 1792 Foolproof. Bourbon insiders have long acknowledged that Foolproof bourbon has a distinctively rich flavor. This bourbon has been bottled at its original 125 barrel entry proof, just as it was years ago when the barrels were first filled. So, like I just stated, this is a Foolproof offering of bourbon bottled at 125 proof. This was the original proof that the bourbon went into the barrel at. Sometimes you lose a little bit of alcohol, sometimes you lose a little bit of water vapor, depending on what that is. If you lose water and that alcohol rises, add a little bit of water, drop that proof back down to the entry level, and that is what you have here. And this does have the most smoky nose out of the 6 so far. Obviously, we're jumping up a decent amount of proof in this offering right here. And it is the most bold on the nose for sure. You're getting a nice kick of ethanol. But it's not something that is twinging my nose hairs or killing anything. It's bringing a lot of flavor into the forefront of this glass here. Mapley, this is the most mapley glass that I have smelled so far. I know we tasted maple on the single barrel, but this is the most mapley nose. And it's very, very sweet. It's very enjoyable. There's nothing that is outstanding, but there's nothing that is disappointing out of here. Let's get into the palate. I tell you guys all the time that I am a proof hound. Some of these are some of the best bottles that you can get for the money, and at $55, this Foolproof is full of flavor, 100%. There are store picks of these Foolproofs coming in at 125 proof. That proof never changes, but some of those single barrel store picks are out of this world. And I think I really did luck out on this Foolproof just regular offering because it is just packed full of flavor. And I think, because I lucked out on that one, I had to get a little bit of a back down to earth kind of moment with the bottled in bond. But you win some, you lose some. And, a lot of the store picks, like I said, are absolutely delicious. This is just packed full of absolute just sweet, decadent, just deliciousness. That maple comes through, very, very sweet. It's almost has a cappuccino effect on there as well. Very creamy, very viscous, oily. I'm getting a little bit of that almost deeper, darker espresso note on there as well. Very, very chocolatey. It's got so much going on for it. It's really good. So we're going to cut, and I'm going to put these in my order that I seem fit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is my preferred order for the 1792 lineup. Starting all the way over here on my left, your right, we've got the 1792 Foolproof. Bottle number 2. This is strictly off of just MSRP and what this bottle has to offer. No secondary value whatsoever. Bottle number 2 is going to be the aged 12 years. Even though it's the first time I ever had this bottle, it is well worth it in my personal opinion for the MSRP price. Bottle number 3 is going to be the single barrel offering, coming in at 98.6 proof. Really, really good offering. Just can't go wrong with this whatsoever. It's a bottle that I personally believe is better than Blanton's at that, under 100 proof single barrel offering. Can't go wrong with that. Bottle number 4, I'm putting the bottle in bond here, not solely because I don't like my bottle, but I know that there are better bottles out there, and I know that the single barrel store picks are some of the better bottles of this offering on the market. So that's why I'm putting it here. Next up, I'm putting the small batch. Small batch is really, really good for the price at 32 to 35 bucks. You can't go wrong with that, and it deserves its rightful spot over top of the sweet wheat for the price and for the offering of the juice itself. I think the sweet wheat, even though it's something that is, a fun hunt to try and find and get to, catch them all, I just don't think it's a bottle well worth the money or the secondary value or whatever this has to offer. I don't think the juice inside is worth anything that price is. I think that this is a $30 bottle of bourbon and it's selling for 45, 50 bucks. Secondary is outrageous for that offering. So there you guys have it. That is my rundown and my go over of the 1792 bottles of bourbon. Let me know your thoughts down below, what your favorite was, and hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you guys drop that like, leave a comment down below, and smash that subscribe button. Until next time, this has been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.